I'm sure you all have heard about Bigfoot, the legendary creature that lurks in the forests, watching from the shadows. Some say it's just a myth, a story passed down to scare kids and entertain conspiracy lovers. But what if I told you that not everyone who has seen it was lying? Today, I'm going to share a real-life encounter that will make you think twice before venturing into the woods alone. So watch till the end, because this story might just change the way you see the world. This happened in the fall of 2003, deep in the forests of Northern California. A man named Michael Carter and his two best friends, James and Eric, set out for a weekend of camping near Elk Creek, a remote area surrounded by miles of untouched wilderness. They were experienced campers, not the kind to get spooked easily. But that trip was different. They arrived in the late afternoon, set up their tents, and started a fire. Everything felt normal at first. The sound of the river flowing nearby, birds chirping in the trees, the crisp autumn air. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, Michael felt something off. An eerie silence creeping in, the kind that makes the hair on your arms stand up. Still, they ignored it. They were there to relax, fish, and have a good time. But then came the first sign. It was around 2:30 a.m. when the sound came. A deep, guttural howl echoed through the trees. Not a wolf, not a bear. It was different. Long, drawn out, almost human, but not quite. It sent a vibration through Michael's chest, like the air itself was shaking. James shot up from his sleeping bag. "Did you hear that?" Eric, the skeptic of the group, tried to play it off. "Probably a coyote," he mumbled, but his voice wasn't as confident as usual. Then it came again, louder, closer. It was so powerful it felt like the trees themselves were listening. That's when they heard something moving. Not small movements, not a raccoon or a deer, something big. Heavy footsteps crunching through the underbrush, slow and deliberate, like whatever was out there wasn't in a hurry, but it wanted them to know it was there. James grabbed the flashlight, unzipped the tent, and stepped outside. The fire had died down to glowing embers, and the darkness beyond it felt alive. Michael followed, his heart pounding. They scanned the tree line. At first, nothing. Then, eyes. About 40 yards away, the beam of the flashlight caught two massive, glowing eyes staring back at them from the trees. Amber-colored, wide apart. Too high off the ground to be a bear or any normal animal. Michael's stomach dropped. His brain screamed, "Run!" but his legs were frozen. James whispered, "Do you see that?" The figure stood half hidden behind the trees, but even in the darkness they could make out the outline of its body. 8 feet tall at least. Broad shoulders, long arms that hung too low, thick fur covering every inch of it. And it wasn't standing stiff like a bear. It had a hunch, a presence, a weight that felt almost human. But not. Eric, still gripping his hunting rifle, whispered, "I don't like this." Then it moved. Not toward them, but around them. The creature stepped forward, just enough for them to see its full silhouette against the faint moonlight filtering through the trees. And then, it made a sound. Not a roar, not a growl, but a deep, rumbling, grunting noise that vibrated through the air like a warning. Like it was telling them, "I see you. I know you're here. And this is my territory." James, in pure panic, grabbed a burning log from the fire and waved it in the air. "Get out of here!" he yelled, his voice shaking. The creature tilted its head slightly as if it was studying them. Then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, it turned. With 2 massive strides, it disappeared into the trees. The footsteps faded. The night returned to silence. But the forest felt different now. None of them slept. They sat around the dying fire, flashlights in hand, listening, waiting. But the creature never came back. By sunrise, they packed up faster than ever before. Michael wanted out. They all did. As they were loading the truck, Michael noticed something at the edge of their campsite. 18 inches long, deep impressions in the damp soil. Toes, human-like but huge. James took a picture, but they never showed it to anyone. Because who would believe them? They left Elk Creek as different people. Before that night, they laughed at Bigfoot stories, thought they were nothing more than fairy tales for conspiracy nuts. Now they weren't so sure. Michael never spoke much about what happened, but every once in a while, when he's alone at night, he swears he hears that same howl. Somewhere out there in the woods. Watching, waiting. Now tell me, do you still think Bigfoot is just a myth?